Good morning, college football fans, and welcome to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My goodness, what a November we have had. Yesterday, I still can't believe what happened, but congratulations to the Braves of St. John Bosco as they will defeat the number 1 seed in the country in high school football, Mater Dei. Mater Dei would knock them off earlier this year, and well, it was a number 2 versus number 1 battle where number 2 Mater Dei defeated number 1 St. John Bosco. Well, this time around, it was the same deal, just the other way around, as number 2 St. John Bosco defeated Mater Dei. That will end off the legendary career of Bruce Rawlings. Man, that was an amazing career. We will get into that in just a bit. Also, we are talking plenty of college football from everywhere. The 3C 2A quarterfinals are on today. The NAIA quarterfinals are on today. The round of 16 starts and actually just started. Also, the round of 16 in D2. The first round, which is basically the round of 16 in the FCS. And oh yeah, it's rivalry week in the FBS. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to want to turn away. This is going to be a fun one today, as we always are, with my boy Teran and I, as we get ready to deliver you all that is college football, right here on 3 and Out College Edition on IE Sports Radio, your directory for all that is sports. Welcome, college football fans. My goodness, it is just insane what we have endured in the last couple of weeks. All the teams winning, losing. I mean, just once again, the true essence of November. This is why this should be deemed November Madness. I mean, it does go into December in bowl season, somewhat December Madness, but to think the NCAA, if they made a big tournament, could own the month of November and call it November Madness. Unfortunately, though, that doesn't exist, and well, you know, here we are. With that said, before we go ahead and jump on into today's show, got to introduce my boy, man. He is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself. He is the host of Set Point, our legendary volleyball show here at IE Sports Radio, the host of the SoCal Stream Sports Show covering all things SoCal sports. He is also the co-host of this show, 3 and Out College Edition. He is the COO of IE Sports Radio, one of the three. He is also a blogger, an IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer, and I mean all around great dude. If I left anything out, please forgive me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Teran Rodriguez, what's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Hey, Larry B. Great to talk some college football. Going to talk a little high school football. I'm excited to be on. Hope your Thanksgiving went well, Larry B. And let's do the darn thing.
Let's do this, brother. And yes, my Thanksgiving was wonderful. Good, sir. Thank you, man. How about yours, man? Did you have a good couple servings of food?
Well, I actually went out to eat. I went to a restaurant called Harborside, and basically they already had a set plate of, they had like a appetizer, then they had a set plate of turkey, white and black turkey, and then they also had green beans and other things, and there were some other entrees as well. And then for dessert, it was either the choice of cheesecake or pumpkin pie.
Teran, you can never go wrong with cheesecake or pumpkin pie. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, man. It was cool, man. We went to my family, my side, on Thanksgiving Day, hung out there, enjoyed it, and then yesterday I hung out with the in-laws and my wife. She made her delicious pumpkin pies this year and sold them. It was cool. We delivered them on Wednesday. It was awesome. We really had a great little Thanksgiving break, and yeah, back to work coming up on Monday. But blah, whatever. I'm excited because we got 3 more weeks and then our winter vacation for 3 weeks. So, oh man, teacher life is it can be stressful, but it also is rewarding with all these awesome little vacations we get. So, with that said, Teran, really, really glad though to be here today, brother. As always, big ups to our boy Marcus Loves Great in the chat room. What up? What up? What up? No, what's going on, Marcus? He's of course on break right now himself, just concluding season 3 of Gloves Off. My goodness, the time just flies. He'll be back, of course, in 2 months from today. Good sir, you deserve every bit of this vacation. January 26th, he's coming back. Or 25th, one of those days. He will be coming on back. It's probably the 25th because it's a Wednesday. And Marcus Loves Great, giving you what you want, what you need. So, gotta love it. We have our fluctuation here at IA Sports Radio. Some of us take those long breaks. Some of us just do them like accordingly throughout the year. Yay. However we do it, we do it. And we are just excited as a big sports family to deliver you guys your direct feed, of course, or to be your direct feed for all that is sports. So, starting things off today, Teran, my goodness, brother, we have some absolute chaos. Last weekend, man, was nuts. Can we just start things off and say, oh, I don't know, Teran, fight on! Oh my gosh! Okay, I'm angry. I'm angry because I felt that USC really should have won that game by a lot more. A win's a win, yes. Is it a rivalry? Yes. Are the records out? Yes, I understand. But I just feel that USC, playing as they did, which didn't seem like very inspired football, especially on defense. I just feel that this team, if they want to win, if they want to go today, if they want to beat Notre Dame, because Notre Dame's going to be against like UCLA, okay? If they want to beat Notre Dame, they got to play better than that. If they want to go to the college football, oh my apologies, got a really dry throat. Let me go grab some water. But, Teran, if they want to win, okay, if they want to go into the college football playoff and win, they need to play much better than they did versus UCLA. Now, is it like a dress rehearsal? Yes. But still, we need to get it going. We need to look a little sharper than that. So today, Notre Dame makes their way. It's going to be a hell of a game. But I don't know, Teran. It just kind of creeps me out a little bit to think that that game was a little too close for comfort. So, I don't know. So, what were your takes on that crazy game last week in the Rose Bowl?
So I had the feeling it was going to be high scoring. I mean, UCLA has drastically improved. DTR is a fantastic quarterback. USC did force 4 turnovers, 2 of which coming from DTR himself. And the interception that sealed it was courtesy of Corey Foreman, the former #1 recruit coming out of Corona Centennial. So I had a feeling it was going to be ugly. There were some decisions that Caleb Williams could have made a little bit better, as there was one play where he could have just ran for the first down, but instead he just threw it and it was an incompletion. That was kind of questionable. And I had a feeling it was going to be high scoring, and I had USC winning by 10, but unfortunately this thing called defense sadly they didn't rise to the occasion. And Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator, has to be a little concerned, though he has to be a little relieved just because forcing 4 turnovers is not that bad, especially against a talented quarterback such as DTR. So for USC, the silver lining is they did enough to win. And honestly, forcing the 4 turnovers and only having one isn't bad, especially since Caleb Williams hasn't really had too many miscues on his part this season. So this week, USC is playing Notre Dame, and as much as I feel that could also be a trap game, I feel USC should have the slight edge since it is going to be in California. It's going to be at the Coliseum. USC should have a good perspective of what to expect, especially since that the college football, they're in the mix for the college football playoff. You got to realize that. And obviously not having Travis Dye hurts them, but I think USC has kind of moved from that. Obviously they like Travis Dye, but Austin Jones has been great at the running back position. And then I feel that this is kind of their playoffs have already started. Obviously they're in the Pac-12 championship game, but their playoffs have started with this little first round matchup against Notre Dame. That's a really good tune up game. I feel USC could be on the path of a possible upset just because that was an emotional game last week. But I feel Lincoln Riley should have his team prepared. So we'll see what happens with USC. And then yesterday I did get to see UCLA. Sorry if I'm bouncing away from USC, but UCLA looked a little shoddy against Cal. Like they were down 21-10. The turning point for the Bruins was that they were able to get that late touchdown before halftime. If they don't get that touchdown before halftime, they're down 11 and the vibe is a whole lot different for both teams. So UCLA, obviously, they squeaked out a win yesterday. Wasn't too impressed, but a win's a win. And that's kind of what you have to do in order to, stay relevant. And then UCLA has a chance to surpass the 10-win mark for the first time, I think, since 2015, should they win their bowl game. They're not going to the Pac-12 championship. Their ship has sailed when it comes to that. But overall, it's been a great season for UCLA. USC, back to them. It's just going to have to take execution and preparation, and the defense is really going to have to step up. And for Notre Dame, I think they're a little bit of a step down from UCLA.
Well said, Teran. My goodness, great stuff there, and I totally agree. SC, man, they're just going to step up if they want anything big out of this year. So that's what it's all about, and that's how it goes down. So I really do feel that was it was a good game. It's a little too close for comfort, as I said. It was kind of irritating, but you know what is what it is. It's a rivalry game, and well, I guess we just gotta take it for what it was and say, hey, that was a pretty good game. So, and also we'll see what happens with SC today. So, speaking of rivalry games, we got probably one of the best rivalry games in college football, if not the best. Just getting underway. I know, ladies and gentlemen, today we're starting a little bit later than we would like to have. Once again, technical difficulties, but everything is fixed with Spreaker now. So, I just couldn't figure out how to get it started, and well, now we're good. But anyway, so we have the game officially underway right now. Number 3 Michigan versus number 2 Ohio State. This game, like I said, just getting underway as we speak. Incredible stuff here because this is for all the marbles. Now, I know I could be recapping a couple games from last week, and I will shortly. But my gosh, I just have to talk about this game momentarily. Like I said, it gets kicked off. I got it on the TV. It's going to be every bit of the battle we thought it was going to be. What better? I mean, UCLA and USC last week was, though UCLA really didn't have no playoff implications at all, they could still upset their rival. And, well, let's just say that's still pretty good, pretty awesome there for them to be able to do that. For UCLA and for SC, a trip to the playoffs is on the line. That's the first time since 2004 or 5 that both UCLA and USC were both ranked, playing in that game, that rivalry game. This game is crazy because they're both ranked, but they're not just ranked freaking any old ranking. They're 1 and 2. So chances are one of these teams may or may not be in the playoff by the end of the day, which is awesome to think because it's just going to make the game that much better. So, Teran, I know I shouldn't have jumped into this too early, but good sir, what are your thoughts on this game today? And pick us a winner.
So for Ohio State and Michigan, this is going to be quite the interesting matchup. Ohio State is without a few of their top receivers, and they are a big-time passing team. While Michigan, on the other hand, they are without their top running back, as well as they're missing their top guy, Corum, which is a big loss right there. And Ohio State gets their top running back. Blake Corum is a big loss for Michigan, however. And then obviously for Ohio State, it's going to be quite the interesting matchup. I really think that both these teams, here's the thing about both these teams. They've battled injuries, and I really think that it's going to come down to the last play. Meon Williams, getting him back is big for the Buckeyes, especially since he's missed most of this season. I feel Ohio State's going to win this one. I think CJ Stroud is too good to let this matchup let this go as a loss for him. And obviously, he had to be kicking himself from last year after how Ohio State let that one slip through their fingers against the Wolverines. I would not count out Washington or Michigan just because, for me, Michigan, they've had a little bit of a quarterback, I wouldn't say controversy, but a quarterback question mark because obviously with McNamara and then the other sophomore quarterback from IMG Academy, obviously there was big speculation right there. But for me, I think Ohio State has a few more weapons offensively to keep up with that Michigan defense. And Michigan really struggled last week against Illinois. So I think that might be a red flag indicator that the Wolverines are a little suspect defensively. So I got to go with Ohio State, but and I think all of USC and I'm just also going to say I saw that everyone is saying that USC fans are rooting for Michigan to win. I don't know why that is, just because Ohio State's chances would fall even worse. But then again, that maybe because that Ohio State beat Notre Dame, and then if USC beats Notre Dame, that would also boost their chances. But I don't know. But I'm going with Ohio State.
You and me both there. And in the chat room, Marcus Lowe's Great says Michigan will show up today. That's hard for me. I think you have a motivated Ohio State team right now, as we have this team reaching midfield right now. They are ready to roll. Johnson, like I said, is reaching midfield. This team, they look motivated. They're in the horseshoe. You know, it's a showdown in the shoe, as I like to say. Michigan has only won 2011 and 2021, of course, last year, breaking that amazing streak, Teran, of nearly 10 years, of a decade. Well, there was a couple of little games where it was close. 2016 was a scary one, where it was 30 to 27 in double overtime. Ohio State held it on and then went to win 3 more years after that. However, Michigan would finally do it last year, 42-27 in Ann Arbor. Well, Teran, today, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's going to be an Ohio State kind of day. They're ready to roll, man. This Ohio State team is very good. So both of them 11-0. Both of them, one is 2, one is 3 in the country. I mean, this isn't getting any better. I mean, the only way this game gets better, Teran, is if they're 1-2. I mean, seriously, this is just a great game, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So we'll have this game on for you guys and report some scores for you as we go on for the show. But yeah, Teran, so let's go ahead and roll back to last week real quick with some of these crazy games. As we mentioned already, the big one, of course, for us, UCLA, USC, that was probably the best game we saw. I mean, of course, as SC fans, but that game was intense. And UCLA, I mean, I give them their credit. It was a hell of a game. They're a great team. Chip Kelly coached these guys up. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine. As you mentioned yesterday, though, with that narrow win, 35-28 to Cal yesterday, it looked a little shoddy. I didn't get to see the game, but I do say that this team is, well, they have things to take care of. Moving forward, if they want to be, higher ranked next season. So, anyway, moving on to this year. Well, last week, sorry, or bringing on some games from last week. Dude, I mean, that was crazy. We've seen Oklahoma, unranked Oklahoma, knock off number 22 Oklahoma State. Where Oklahoma usually basically smacked them around all game. And Oklahoma State gets scored in the end, basically, a couple towards the end of the game. Indiana knocked off Michigan State in double overtime, 39-31. I mean, they're not ranked, but my gosh, that's a crazy game right there for sure. Also, well, for Indiana, definitely happy there. Georgia barely beats Kentucky 16-6. I mean, I was expecting more out of that. What scared a lot of people, including myself, number 2 Ohio State here, defeated Maryland in a thin margin, 43-30. Was expecting more, but I get it. Louisville knocks off number 24 NC State 25-10. That was kind of crazy. I mean, Teran, there were some weird ones last week. The biggest one, I think, one of the biggest upsets I've seen in a while is South Carolina. The Gamecocks, unranked, knocking out number 5 Tennessee 63-38. It's safe to say Tennessee's hopes for any playoffs are finished. But man, what a run they had this year. Also, another big one for me was number 12 Oregon knocking off number 10 Utah 20-17. solid football game there. I mean, there was upsets and weird little games everywhere. But yeah, just one of those weeks. Number three, Michigan barely beat Illinois 19-17. I mean, this was a different one, man. Of course, we talk a little bit of the Aztecs here, as San Diego State would handedly beat the Lobos of New Mexico 34-10. And then moving into, of course, like yesterday, we had some good games. We had, of course, the Egg Bowl on Thursday, and that was pretty cool, where we had quite the game. My gosh, Mississippi State taking on Mississippi. That's always a treat, and well, it was as advertised, as we had a Mississippi State victory over ranked. And this is, what were they ranked in? They were ranked, well, if I were to get my dang phone working, this is really annoying. Thank you so much, phone. Okay. Ole Miss. Oh, I'm sorry. Mississippi State. It was 24-22, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. My phone's being stupid. But yeah, Mississippi State, anyway, knocks off a ranked Ole Miss. And absolutely just adds to all these crazy games from last week, and you can't help but love it, right? So, though that was of course on Thanksgiving. So, Teran, your thoughts on any of those games from last week, or even that Egg Bowl from yesterday or 2 days ago?
So the TCU Baylor one was quite the doozy as well, just because TCU narrowly escaped against Baylor, which keeps TCU's perfect season alive, and it keeps their college football playoff hopes alive. I don't think anyone predicted TCU to be this good, just because TCU was kind of an anomaly. Everyone thought the three-headed monster was going to be Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma, but now it's a completely new three-headed monster or two-headed monster at this point, because TCU and Kansas State appear to go on a crash course to facing one another. And then something that did awe me was that Alabama actually did not cover against Austin Peay. So good job to Austin Peay. Despite not scoring, they managed to cover against Alabama. So I guess that's somewhat of an accomplishment right there. And then you mentioned the Utah-Oregon matchup. So here's my thing about the Utah-Oregon matchup. This shows how not so good Utah is on the road. Now, a majority of their wins have been at home. I don't think they've lost at home. That's because it is very tough to win at Utah. Higher altitude, loud and spirited crowd. But on the road, Oregon has been not good. They lost to Florida earlier in the season. They lost to UCLA. Now they lose to Oregon. That loss to Oregon all but might have sealed their fate. The only way that they get in is I want to say that Oregon has to lose, and then Washington also has to lose, and then obviously Utah has to win, which they should against Colorado. But for Utah, this kind of kills their chances of making the Pac-12 championship. I really think that it just goes to show that they may not be as good as most people think they are. I mean, they're good at home, but they're not good away. It's really puzzling for me. And the Pac-12 race is so interesting. I think all Oregon needs to do is win, and they're in. But they narrowly escaped against that Utah team. And then obviously for Washington, they're in the mix as well, as they play in the Apple Cup. And also, I got to give a shout to Vanderbilt, as they managed to beat Florida last week. The Commodores, they are really coming alive, and they're actually one win away from being bowl game eligible. I don't think anyone could have predicted that. And then yesterday, we had Tulane beating Cincinnati. Cincinnati actually saw its 32 home game winning streak get snapped, and then Tulane, I think, had like a 60-some game losing streak against ranked opponents snapped, and Tulane is going to be hosting their conference championship game for the first time in what seems to be like forever. So that's quite incredible of what's their face Tulane did. I think their story is incredible, and it's good to see like originality in like some of these conferences. One thing I do need to note of. You made note of Tennessee losing to South Carolina. A couple things. South Carolina has Spencer Rattler. That dude is pretty impressive, and he's vastly underrated, and he just does Spencer Rattler things. And unfortunately for Tennessee, they sadly lost their star quarterback, Hendon Hooker, to a injury, a season-ending. I think it was a season-ending ACL injury, and I felt for the poor guy, and it's so heartbreaking. So, the worst part is he's a senior, and I imagine he's going to the NFL draft. So, hopefully he heals up soon, and then hopefully has a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
This makes Vanderbilt, Tennessee a little more interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Marcus Loves Great says TCU is lucky they didn't play Texas this year. TCU is overrated. What do you think about that comment there, Teran?
That's actually, I wouldn't say that's not too off. I mean, it's tough to judge when it comes to TCU. They haven't lost, but the Big 12 as a whole is nearly on par with the Pac-12. It's just there's a little bit more ranked teams. See, I think for TCU, I don't think anyone predicted them to having this much success. Like I said, it was basically Oklahoma and Oklahoma State as the top dogs. Baylor was thrown into that mix. Everyone hypes up Texas, which Texas won a crazy game against Baylor yesterday. There were scooping scores from big men, courtesy of Baylor, and then Texas had their running back. I think it was Ajon Robinson. He really showed up late in that fourth quarter. So I think Texas might have been able to give TCU a battle. It's just that, unfortunately, the schedule did not go in the favor of the Longhorns. But for TCU, I'm going to be interested to see how they do in the Big 12 championship and how they do the rest of the way. So overall, it's going to be quite the week for TCU and all these other ranked teams. Who will stay on top and who will crumble as we get closer and closer to conference championship week and how we get closer to college football playoff week.
I am right there, Darren. Right there with you, brother. It's a trip to think that, TCU, of course, may or may not be underrated. I mean, overrated. I can see that. But as of right now, we actually just had our first score in this game a few minutes ago. Ohio State will go up first 7-0. We are still pretty early in the first quarter, getting to that midpoint. Also, a little update for you guys. This is kind of a weirdo, but why not, right? Texas Tech is actually up on number one. Georgia Tech is actually up right now on number one Georgia, 7-0 with 6:20 to go in the first quarter. Oh, November Madness, we love you. So, Teran, we're going to give ourselves a short break. When we get back, we are going to be talking. Oh my gosh! Yesterday just had to have. I hurt for the guy, I hurt for the team. But hell of a game, man. St. John Bosco. This was basically the high school championship, guys. This is exactly what it was. Because there is no national championship game for high school football. But if there was a championship game in high school football, yesterday probably would have been it. And down goes Mater Dei, and up goes St. John Bosco. You're listening to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back talking high school football after this.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Rose Great. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Is this finally the year for Belgium? Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard think so, and they're going to make you think so too. The 2022 World Cup comes to IE Sports Radio in November.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's been 20 years since Brazil lifted the World Cup trophy. For Neymar and Gabriel Jesus, that is unacceptable and must be changed. The 2022 World Cup comes to the USRN family of networks in November.
What's up, everybody? This is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
The proud clubs, the exciting young talents, and some of the most passionate supporters in all of the world. Football as it's meant to be. The Bundesliga, all season long on USRN, Wellington Sports Radio, and IE Sports Radio. The world's best footballers and best football clubs on one big stage. The greatest club competition of them all. The UEFA Champions League, all season long on USRN.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Man, some great stuff here, as you can hear. Plenty of great shows here at IU Sports Radio. Plenty of great calls over on USRN, WSRN, IU Sports Radio. It's been a lot of fun calling some of these World Cup games, and they continue. As a matter of fact, right this very minute, over on WSR, we have Mr. Tom Dillon of England, I believe, if I'm mistaken. My apologies if he's not from over there. But calling calling France and Denmark at the moment. So looking forward to the winner of that game, and we'll see who moves on that World Cup. It's been a lot of fun. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump on over to our neck of the woods. That is football. Well, we are now talking some football as we get ready to jump on over to just amazing. I mean, Teran, there's no other way to say this. This has been just a wild week in high school football. Titles have been claimed in, of course, CIF, Southern Section regions. Titles have been claimed around the country in the last couple of weeks. I believe, probably just the last two. And the playoffs have been awesome. So we're going to go over these top 10 real quick, Teran. And then, of course, get on into, well, I think we all know. So, moving on forward, top 10 high school, well, wherever we are, of course, we have, let's see if I can actually do this. All right, here we go. So, thank you. Rankings, there we go. All right, so the current top 10. Darren, teams moved up, teams moved down. Number 10, American Heritage out of Plantation, Florida. Will actually have ourselves a victory a couple weeks ago over the Cardinal Gibson Chiefs out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They will win 31-20. No game yesterday. Interestingly enough, I'm not quite sure if that was the title. So they're moving forward. That was a title game or a playoff game. Looks like they will have a championship game or yet another playoff game. Don't know which one it'll be. But versus Bulls coming up on December 2nd. So I think that might be actually a title game. Not sure. Out of Jacksonville, Florida, the Bulldogs. It is, yes, the FHSAA Football State Championship. Actually, Bulls won that already. So I don't know why they're playing American Heritage. Kind of a weird situation there, Teran. Maybe you know more than I do about that. I have no idea. But as of right now, that's currently your number 10 team in the country, American Heritage, as they will jump up 2 spots and jump into that top 10. What you got, Teran?
Yeah, American Heritage has had himself a good season, and I feel they're that a little underrated because you got to remember that they did have that one loss earlier in the season to one of their rivals, I think, hailing from Miami. So, and they also had that big win over Los Alamitos, which I guess isn't too bad. But they lost to Chaminade Madonna, which there's no shame in losing to that team. Yeah, so it wasn't that team. I'm thinking of another team that's from Miami. But overall, it's been a good year for American Heritage. They definitely are a team that I have definitely heard of. And then obviously their win yesterday over Cardinal Gibbons was definitely big time right there, as next week they have Bulls at home. So it's going to be quite the interesting game against Bulls, just because looking at Bulls at a glance, sorry, there was a little pop-up. Looking at the game against Bulls at a glance for Bulls, they're 9-4, but remember, this is the playoffs. You never want to underestimate anybody, and their away record leaves a lot to be desired. But again, playoff time, you never know what to expect.
Totally agree, Teran. And yes, number 9 now, moving to number 9 in the country. Well, as Michigan scores a field goal, it's now 7-3 with 6:07 to go here in the first quarter. Teran, Westlake. Yes. Westlake Chaparrals out of Austin, Texas have won the UIL Texas Football State Championship 44-7 yesterday over San Benito. They will finish an undefeated season, man. So congratulations to the Chaparrals of Westlake. And, well, there it is, man. Capped off a 13-0 season, 8-0 in district. Looking good, and I think that's where their journey ends this year. I don't see any more games scheduled for them, but how about that, Teran? And to cap it all off, they finished at number 9 in the country. How you like that?
It's an impressive win. Westlake of Texas has always been a good team, and something impressive about Westlake is that they only allowed one opponent to surpass 20 or more points this season, and all of their wins are basically one-sided. I think the closest one they had was 29-10 over Dripping Springs, but overall, actually no, Lake Travis was the one that was the close win, 35-20. But overall, it was just a dominating, strong season, and they only failed to score over 30 or more once, and that was against said Dripping Springs team. But overall, it was a big win. Big season for Westlake in terms of Austin, Texas, and I'm interested to see where they'll finish at the end of the season. Now, I think they're in the national championship hunt. That still remains on what the committee has to say, but that's for another day.
Agreed, Teran, because we have another Texas champion here. I'm not sure the districts they're in, but I do know that these coffee's done. There's the beef. Well, Teran, the team that has produced lots of NFL talent throughout the years, North Shore will claim yet another Texas State Football Championship game yesterday, Teran, as they defeat Cinco Ranch 49-21. Cinco Ranch ends at 9-4 on the season. Nothing to be ashamed of, man. They fought hard. But North Shore, yet again, being an amazing team here out of Houston, Texas. 13-0, 7-0 in district. Teran, it's no wonder they're number 9 in the country. They could move up before the year ends as their final ranking, but yeah, man, North Shore, at number 8 in the country, very well deserved.
Yeah, and unlike Westlake, they had to play a few close games. They did have a few opponents surpass 20 points, but for the most part, this North Shore team has only failed to put up 20 or more points one time, and that was in a very close win against Atascosa. But other than that, this team is very dominant offensively, and honestly, they're definitely deserving of that number 8 ranking, and it's quite incredible. And the competition they must have played must be a little bit more stiffer in terms of the whole strength of schedule thing, just because both Westlake and North Shore are both undefeated champions, and they won their district. So it'll be interesting to see where the final tallies are in terms of the overall numbers in terms of the final rankings.
Yes, sir. And I took a look back, by the way, at American Heritage, and yeah, it looks like they did play a championship game. I don't know why they have another game coming up. I don't know. Maybe it's a makeup. I have no idea what that is. But yeah, it looks like American Heritage, I think, are champions. I'm not sure. Yeah, out of Florida. In one of their divisions or districts, or however they, same thing with us in the southern section and all the divisions we have and all that good stuff in California. So off to number 7, St. Thomas Aquinas Raiders out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Teran, we've been talking about them all year as well. They, of course, will do the same deal, winning a FHSAA Football State Championship, of course, in Florida. They will defeat Blanche, I believe, or Blanche Ellie. 35, so forgive me if I butchered that, but did not intentionally mean that. 35-7. And, well, Blanche Ellie will finish at 10-1 this year. Oh, man, what a great season for them. And St. Thomas Aquinas, the team that, like I said, we've been talking about them all year long, and will cap off a perfect season as well. 12-0, 3-0 in district. They are 3 in district, I guess. 3M District 11. Regardless, this St. Thomas Aquinas team, man, played really, really well to Florida. Congratulations, they are also champions this year.
Yeah, another team that has held their opponent. They only allowed their opponent to surpass 21 times. Their first opponent, which they played, St. Joseph Prep. Obviously, that was a barn burner of a game. The teams combined for 85 points, and overall, St. Thomas Aquinas really proved themselves. I don't know if they have another game. It doesn't look like they have it via max reps, but the fact that they only allowed their opponent to surpass or they didn't allow their opponent to surpass 20 points the rest of the way after that first game shows how good that St. Thomas Aquinas is. And they did have a few close calls. They beat Treasure Coast by 14, 21-7. They beat Dillard 24-6. But after that Dillard win, they basically stepped on the gas in a big way because they wound up winning most of their games by 30 or more points, or all their games by 30 or more points after the Dillard win.
That says so much, man. This amazing dominant team this year caps it off with a perfect season, another championship. I'm only assuming another championship because they look like they might have had a couple before this, but maybe not. I don't know, but they're still pretty damn good. Up to number 6 in the country, the IMG Academy. Of course, this team, I mean, again, I don't know if this team wins championships or not. I don't know. I know it's like a special football type of school. I'm not exactly sure how this thing works, but I do know that they are 8-1 this year. And they are, of course, out of Bradenton, Florida. And, they have themselves some nice wins this year. They just finished off another victory at University of Maryland. And they defeated St. Francis Academy, of course. That was last week. We talked about that. They upset the number 2 team in the nation. And, there you have it, man. I mean, I don't really know where they go after this. I don't know if they win any titles. I don't know what they do. But I do know they are like a football factory themselves. They're a freelance. Their district is freelance, so they're kind of like independent, I guess. I don't know. But what I do know is that, they get themselves another nice victory, and congratulations to the IMG Academy. It looks like they may or may not finish in that top 6, may or may not move up actually into that top 5 this year. But yeah, 8-1 on the season. It looks like they don't have any more games. I don't know if they do or don't. Regardless, though, man, IMG Academy currently number 6 in the country. They move up 4 from last week.
Yeah, for IMG Academy, their thing is they pay I think their whole school or their athletic department pays opponents to play them. Like, if you look, for example, the West Toronto Prep, everyone's thinking that might be the new Bishop Sycamore, but they had to pay teams to play just because they aren't in a league, and IMG is pretty much a private school for the most part, and I really think that IMG, like you said, they're a football factory, so for them, beating St. Francis was huge for them, and they definitely have a huge reputation of continuing their strong gameplay against some of these big-time opponents. Their only loss was to Central, which there's no shame in losing to them.
Agreed, Teran. We're going to talk about them in a few minutes here, but that's crazy how they do that.
Yep.
So they're basically, so that's interesting, Teran. They're basically like a school that isn't really affiliated with any district or none of that, not even their own state, and they just basically play teams around the country, and they just pretty much produce talent because they're known for football because it was probably created just for football. I mean, I'm guessing, right? That's exactly what the IMG Academy is.
They have other sports as well, but I feel IMG Academy is kind of comparable to Notre Dame. No league, or they're a freelance team, and yeah. That's why kind of the reason why we should have a national championship, which I think that could solve a lot of problems in all sorts of states. Just so we're not getting Big Brother beating up on Little Brother in terms of some of these championships.
Agreed, Teran. I mean, I remember a couple of weeks ago you said you covered Los Alamitos and Notre Dame, and dude, I mean, you heard some of the coaches talking about, we need to separate the privates and the public. My buddy Alex, man, he just, when I told him this past year, because it's kind of funny, earlier this year, Teran, maybe like a month and a half ago, one of his good friends that he works with, his son plays at a local high school, and it was a senior year, and we went to go see a couple of his games and everything, and they ended up playing Arlington. Oh no, Teran, not that wormhole again. But Arlington, and he was saying in the stands that people were talking about Arlington were state champions last year or played in the state championship last year, and they're not wrong, even though it was really weird how they got there. But they played the cards they were dealt, and they did really good. So it's just one of those things, right? Well, anyway, Darren, long story short, kind of crazy about that whole deal is that we were talking about it, and he was saying that's stupid. So you're basically saying that Max Preps just ranks them, or they just get ranked at the end of the season. And it's kind of like the BCS in the old day, except for they didn't even play a game. They just, whoever's number one is number one, and they're the champions. There's no game. And I says, no, there's no championship game. I says, basically, it's whoever finishes first in the rankings at the end of the year is the champion. He's like, that's so stupid. He's like, that's BS. He's like, I would have it where they would play all the games like the regular season, play the usual state and do all that stuff, how they do it. He's like, but then I would have it to where we cut the country into fours. Southwest, Southeast, Northeast, Northwest. He's like, and have there be a little mini 4-game playoff. He's like, and two from each, the top two from each region play each other. He's like, and then Southwest plays Southwest plays Northwest, and Northeast plays Northeast. My gosh. Okay, let me do that again. West plays Southwest, and Northeast plays Southeast. And yeah, he says that, and then the winner of those games will play each other, and that will be the national championship. And I was like, yeah, I guess that sounds pretty good. But I was like, that's too many games, though, man. He's like, well, aren't these kids aspiring to go to the next level and play more games? They're going to have to get used to it. And I said, no, I agree, because I've said that before. I says, but it's crazy because you'll have, at that time, the kids will be playing like 16, 17 games if they get that far. And he says, so what? Some of those kids are going to go to the NFL anyway or go to a D1 anyway. And so he just made the argument and was like, no, man, that's so stupid. He's like, we should have a freaking national championship game. And that's what I told him. I said, okay. So it's kind of like the BCS. I said, I use his old high school as an example. I said, so say we move up the ranks and we're playing, I'm playing for his high school, we're both playing for his high school, and we move up, we go up, we freaking upset Mater Dei, man. We weren't even ranked the year. We upset Mater Dei in the playoffs, and we end up being like number 4 overall in the country. Before we played Mater Dei, like number 5 or whatever. Well, Mater Dei was number 1, but because we beat Mater Dei and knocked them off, basically St. Francis Academy or Central moves up basically, and one of them will be the national champions, and we'll be like, 3 or 4 maybe. And he's like, that's stupid. He's like, we just knocked off the freaking national champions from last year, and they were currently number 1. How the hell are we not? I said, because there's 2 teams that are beneath them that are going to move up that people think that are better than us. He's like, that's stupid. He's like, we need to play for it. And I says, I know. So anyway, Darren, you could tell we had a pretty fun conversation there and everything. He's not too keen with high school football, but I had to fill him in about all that. And of course, you filled me in with a lot of that as well, too. Especially last year, talking about Arlington and even Newport Harbor. But Darren, crazy stuff, man. So I don't know. So what are your thoughts on all that little system there for high school? Do you think it's too much? Do you think we really need a sole national championship? I mean, what do you think, brother?
Well, for starters, I just think Mater Dei and St. John Bosco are on a whole nother level, and I think I think most of these states have to separate like some of the best from the from, I wouldn't say the worst, but some of the best from the better. That separate the better teams from the best teams, and I think for me that would basically have a national tournament, a national Max Preps national championship tournament at a neutral site. So I think for me, it would basically get the big boy teams away from facing some of the other teams, because everyone, not to jump back to California, and I'm going to go on a little rant here, but obviously Mater Dei and St. John Bosco are on a whole nother level, but we don't want to see like them beating down the other teams, because I feel it for the CIF Southern section, being in Division I is more so of a punishment because you had such a great season, because Los Alamitos had probably one of their better years in quite a while, and their punishment was they got to be in Division I. They got to be the 5 seed, and they got to play Long Beach Poly, beat Long Beach Poly. Actually, no, Los Al was the 4 seed, but either way, they beat Long Beach Poly, and then they got thumped by Mater Dei. And then Mission Viejo, they pull off an upset against Corona Centennial, as we all know, and their punishment was playing at home against the eventual CIF Southern Section Division I champion St. John Bosco. Now, you look at the two scores: 52-0 Mater Dei over Los Al, and then 41-6 over Bosco over Mission Viejo. That's a combined 93-6 in terms of both CIF Southern Section semifinals. Is that really fair for Mission Viejo and Los Alamitos? Let alone those are two public schools right there. So there was even rumblings that Mission Viejo and Los Alamitos were going to say, let's not play our semifinals and let's have ourselves a bowl game ourselves, just because that would have been, I think that could have been a whole lot better than just seeing your players get demolished by players twice their size. But I'm not trying to go on a little bit of a rant. I'm not trying to take anything away from Mater Dei or Mission Viejo, Mater Dei or St. John Bosco, but I just think that it would be a much better system to have like a big national tournament, and then those two could just duke it out along with some of the other teams like the IMG Academies, the Bishop Gormans, the Centrals, the American Heritages, all that sort of thing. So that's just my little thing right there. It would just help out like all the other teams, just because it would give them a fair shot. It would give the other teams like a fair shot. Like some of the Trinity League isn't on par with the Mater Dei and St. John Bosco, and then some of the other leagues out there like the Mission Viejos, the Los Alamitos. I don't know if they'll ever have seasons like this again. I mean, obviously Mission Viejo will be back on this type of stage just because they always have a chance to like reload instead of rebuild, and they have a great culture over there. It's just that this year is going to be tough to replicate because they lose their quarterback who's going to Ball State. Their receiver core is dynamite. Their defense, I think they lose a good chunk of that, and they lose their all-purpose player who was named their league MVP. So for Mission Viejo, it's going to be a little tough to replicate that. So again, I'm sorry if I had to go on a little bit of a tangent there, but that's my little spiel of things.
Great stuff there, Teran. And no, I'm with you, brother. It needs to happen. Like you said, I don't know who told you that. I think you were talking to a coach or somebody. But yeah, they're basically playing Mater Dei or St. John Bosco is like no joke playing a freaking college team. Like, I mean,
exactly. That's the perfect comparison.
Sorry. Yeah, and I don't know where to put them. Like, if they were actually a college team, I don't know where I would put Mater Dei. Or, I mean, honestly, I think I could put them. Gosh, damn it, they might compete. I don't know. They might be better than D3, dude. I think, like you know, like I'm talking about like a full-on strong D3 team. I don't know, dude. I think like Mater Dei and St. John Bosco could like legitimately compete with like some D2s out there, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really do think like they could actually play them and be pretty good. Yep. That's kind of scary. I wouldn't go as far as saying Mater Dei could knock off a junior college. I mean, maybe a crappy junior college, but not even a mediocre junior college. I don't think Mater Dei or St. John Bosco can handle, just because it's a college team and, you know, it's a little bit different. They're older, they're stronger, they're faster, they're better. But still, but yeah, I wouldn't go so far as saying they could play an FCS school either. But there are some NAIA schools that I think, and maybe some anywhere from D3 to D2 to NAIA, that I seriously feel like Mater Dei could probably give a good run, man. And like probably some of the not so good D3s, I think Mater Dei and St. John Bosco could probably not handle, but win. And like I said, I'm not getting too crazy here saying some nonsense, but I'm just saying, like, they really are somewhat on that level because, gosh damn it, they're good. So yeah, I agree, Teran. There needs to be some kind of separation there between those teams and the whole bit. But anyway, so let's move forward. Congratulations to Chaminade Madonna. Teran, we've been talking about them all year as well. They capped it off with a FHSAA football state championship, defeating Central Newman. They finished 11-1 this year, by the way. Chaminade Madonna, though, 11-0, 49-6. Looks like they actually have a playoff game. Don't know what this is. Coming up next week over where they play True North Classical Academy Titans. They are currently 9-3 with 2 district wins so far. But yeah, congratulations to Chaminade Madonna. They are currently the number 5 team in the country, and well, they will jump up one spot from last week. How do you like that, Teran?
Yeah, Chaminade Madonna, we just talked about them a little while ago. They are quite the impressive team, and remember, they beat American Heritage, which is no joke, especially since that quarterback is going to Ohio State. So hats off to Shaman Madonna, and they have quite a number of one-sided matches, one-sided games, including their most recent win over Cardinal Newman. Now, obviously, they gave up certain points, but remember, they had that stretch where they shut 4 straight opponents, and in their 6 games before the Cardinal Newman game, they only gave up 6 points. So for Shaman Madonna, they are indeed the real deal.
Agreed, Teran. Moving on to number 4, Bishop Gorman. We talked about them last week. They will win the NI or N1. I don't know if it's NIAA football playoff. I think they just won another title, if I'm not mistaken. That was last week, where they defeated Bishop Montague 70-6. I don't see any more games on our schedule, so I don't know what's going on there. But if that's another title, then my goodness, way to win a freaking title, and that's Bishop Gorman for you. So yeah, how you like that, Teran? 13-1, 5-0 in the 5A district, 5A Southern District. Or Desert. Sorry. 5A Southern Desert in Nevada. Yeah, Bishop Gorman does it again.
Yeah, and obviously their only loss was to Mater Dei, so there's no doubt in my mind Gorman's going to finish in the top 5, if not maybe top 4. So I think Bishop Gorman has had a fantastic season, and I'm pretty sure that is their championship, considering that is they've played 14 games. It gets to a point where you have to wonder how many games are too many games. Obviously state games are amazing, but the bodies of some of these young athletes, they just get worn down, and it gets stressful mentally and physically. But overall, it's a great win and a great end of the season for Gorman, and I can't wait to see what they do next season.
I'm right there with you, Teran. I think these games are actually state. I think this is when they win in their district, Southern Section, and then I think this is the actual next state, or I don't know if this is the next stage of state, the final. But same thing here with Central, the number 3 team in the country. They're 12-0, 4-0 in the 2M District 13 in Florida. Central out of Miami. They won this last game over in Norland, 34-20. So they play Lakewood out of St. Petersburg next week. Like I said, I think these are actually the part 2 of the state championship for them. So sorry for deeming some of these teams early champions, but once again, we're just learning. Next year we'll definitely be better at this, but we're just learning right now how the rest of the country works with their playoff systems. A little bit, somewhat sometimes not alike RCIF here in Southern California. But yeah, anyway, Teran, number 3 in the country, Central Miami, looking good.
Yeah, Central Miami, as we all know, they just recently wrapped up I wouldn't say they wrapped up their season, but they're still undefeated as they wrapped up another win yesterday as they beat Norland 34-20, and they do play Lakewood of St. Petersburg. So it obviously looks like a state playoff game just because St. Petersburg is indeed in Florida. And for Central, remember, they have that win over. They beat IMG Academy. So the fact that Central has that win over IMG Academy shows that they are indeed they're definitely the real deal. You don't beat IMG Academy out of the blue unless your name is Mater Dei or St. John Bosco. So for Central, it's a fantastic season for them, and I can't wait to see what they have to offer in their little game next week.
Agreed, Teran. Definitely looking forward to that. And then, of course, the game we've been waiting to get to, number 2 versus number 1. St. John Bosco jumped up 2 spots last week to number 2 to take on the mighty Mater Dei. Everyone knew this is it. Anytime that Bruce Rawlinson steps on that field, this might be his last time stepping out there. And, well, Teran, I think that might have been it. I don't know if they're going to get the bid to play in the state tournament. They may or may not, but, dude, they will lose to St. John Bosco. I was tripping out last night at the in-laws, watching the score on Max Preps and seeing that there was one point in this game where, if I'm not mistaken, Teran, St. John Bosco was actually up 24-13. That last touchdown, Mater Dei freaking scored it's not garbage time, but they scored later. And Dude, I mean, my goodness, how about this team, man? St. John Bosco got up and they did not let it go, man. How about that? Congratulations to the CIF Division 1 Southern Section champions, man. St. John Bosco Braves. They won it all in 2019, right, Teran, if I'm not mistaken. And well, here they are again. I think they just might have another championship, another national championship coming to them after that victory.
So a few things of that win. So that was actually Mater Dei's first loss since 2019 when Bosco beat them in the CIF Southern Section Division 1 championship. It was actually the first loss for Mater Dei when Elijah Brown started at quarterback. And for St. John Bosco, they actually were trailing 7-0 in the first quarter, tied it up at 7-7 going into halftime. And Mateo Uyunglele, if you remember that last name, that is the brother of DJ. So obviously he came up big. He plays both sides of the ball, and he could be a complete gadget player at tight end. So I really am interested to see what Mateo wants to do with his college career. So for Bosco, they went up 24-13. Mater Dei crept closer with a field goal. And then this was the crazy part. So Bosco actually has a mishandled snap go over the head of the punter. Mater Dei recovers at the Bosco 16. Mater Dei eventually goes in for the 1-yard rushing touchdown, and they have to go for 2. It's 22-24 at that point because Mater Dei actually missed an extra point. So Mater Dei opts to elect to run the ball, and here's the thing. Mater Dei had their linemen stacked because it obviously looked like it was going to be a run play, if not maybe some time to have Elijah Brown RPO, but they handed the ball off to their running back, and then 48 was able to wrap him above, and then 22 got him from underneath, and he tripped up the runner, and the runner fell short, and eventually Bosco recovered the onside kick, and then they were able to work the clock to their favor, and they were able to win the game. So for Bosco, they really did everything in their power to make sure Mater Dei could not maneuver. And they did not give Elijah Brown a whole lot of time. He was only hit, I think it was only hit 3 or so times, but he was pressured so many times. He had to throw the ball away for the most part, and it just was not Elijah Brown's night. But that's more so because Bosco has a dominant defense. And then Pierce Clarkson, he was a warrior. He threw 3 touchdown passes. And he had a knee injury in the second quarter. It looked like he might have had to go out, but he toughed it out. He came back in, and he was able to lead the Braves to the victory, which I think is incredible right there. So obviously it means the end of the Bruce Rawlinson era for Mater Dei, but he had a fantastic run with the Monarchs, and say what you want about the man, but he is a living legend, and he won, what was it? He's won over 300 games, and he's only lost 80 some. So I wish him the best in retirement. And now the big $1 million question is, who's their new coach? I basically talked with a few of my friends. I said the same thing I said last week. I think maybe Matt Leinart becomes the head coach just because his son Cole is only a freshman, and it makes all the more sense just because Leinart was a standout at Mater Dei. He played for Rawlinson, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe Matt Barkley as well, but he's still playing in the NFL. So I imagine that Barkley, this could be his last year, and then he just up and goes back to California to basically coach at Mater Dei. But that would require his family moving back to California from Buffalo. So it's just a big $1 million question right there. And there are a few other coaches, but Rawlinson is also going to be a part of the process of picking which team or which coach is going to be the new head coach.
So many questions there, Teran, but I think this is much deserved. Congratulations to Bruce Rawlinson, man. I mean, amazing career, good sir. This man right here, just a good guy. I mean, like I said, say what you will, but I mean, I've never seen anything bad about the guy. I mean, I just know that he's helped a lot of young men accomplish their dreams, and what a great place, man. Mater Dei out of Santa Ana, California. You'd never know it was there, right? I mean, it's this little tiny thing that you wouldn't even, you pass by it, right? And it's you don't even realize it. It's just there, but amazing job for him, and amazing career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he definitely wanted to get the most out of his players, and he was a former Monarch standout himself, and then he went on to play at USC, and basically his kids were devastated, and that's kind of what mattered. I think he just wants to spend more time with his kids. He has not officially released a statement on why he stepped down. That is still to be determined, but for all I know is that he had a great run, and it's gonna feel weird not seeing rock and roll, baby, or hearing that line. But overall, it was a great run for him, and I was glad to get that little interview when I could. So I wish him the best, and it was great meeting him for the first time back at a roast and toast of one of my broadcast friends back in 2016.
That's amazing, Teran, and awesome you got to interview him, by the way. Go check it out, y'all, at Teran Rodriguez 1, of course, the number 1. Go check it out, man. Teran's the man, getting interviews everywhere. I'm telling you guys, this guy right here is every bit deserving of an ESPY, in my opinion, man. But a great job here. And just wonderful work, and just what a way to capture his interview in his last season, man. So once again, congratulations to Bruce Rawlinson. He rides off into the sunset. I mean, hey, whatever his reason is, he has every right, and he has left his mark on an incredible program in the country, man. So we will see what is to come of modern day. We'll see, once again, Matt Larnert. That's crazy. Barkley, you said he may be in the running to actually coach the team or be an assistant? That's crazy.
That's just my speculation. That's just a possible candidate right there. I mean, I'm not saying that Matt Leinart will be the head coach or Matt Barkley will be the head coach. I'm just saying that those could be possible candidates.
That's still pretty crazy, though, if either one were to do it. I mean, who knows? But I do know this, Darren. We're going to take ourselves a short break. And when we get back, we are going to be talking about these tournaments. Yeah, it's going to be a long show. I think we already all knew that, guys. But it's a fun one today. We're going to go ahead and jump on into these tournaments when we get back, and then we're just going to speed right on in to, of course, today's games, and, well, then we're out here for the day, but it's going to be a good one. Be ready to rock and roll, y'all. You are listening to 3 and Out College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris, the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
The English Premier League is back for the 2022-2023 season, and you can catch selected games on the USRN family of networks. Across USRN and USRN2 this season, expect to hear from Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and many more. Selected games throughout the season as we build up to our coverage of the Qatar World Cup. The English Premier League on USRN.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Well, we are just moving along, y'all, boot scooting today, as we are we're going to go ahead and get into some college playoffs. Well, I mean, there is no secret about this, Teran. The 3C2A has been amazing to watch this year. I know I'm being a total homer. I'm sorry, Teran, but I am a homer with my RCC Tigers, man, playing for them and just being a part of this program was amazing when I was. And well, here they are doing their dang thing, man. The 3C2A quarterfinals, man. We have here today some great games coming your way. Quarterfinal action, we have the semifinal between Ventura, the Pirates, and Riverside Community College. That is over at SBVC, San Bernardino Valley College, today at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, of course, tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have the other Southern Regional between Mount San Antonio and Fullerton. They're playing at Fullerton College. And then up north, we have today, also at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Modesto will be taking on San Mateo, and the final two spots of the entire tournament, of the entire quarterfinal. And, of course, the last two spots here for the day. American River will be taking on champions from a few years ago, 2019, if you guys ever watched Last Chance U, once again, when they covered the 3C2A. Laney College, they will be playing, American River versus Laney College today at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, there you have it. The winners of these two, once again, Ventura, Riverside, San Antonio, Fullerton. The winners will play each other there in the final for the South, and in the final for the North, it'll be the winner of Modesto and San Mateo and the winner of American River and Laney. The winners of those two games will be playing in the 3C2A National Championship game in 2 weeks from today on December 10th. So, of course, these semifinals, or Southern or Northern finals, whatever you want to call them, coming up next week on December 3rd. And there you have it. So, Teran, how you like this, brother? No, RCC goes into this thing number one in the country. I mean, last year's champion, the City College of San Francisco, did not even get in this year. Kind of crazy. Some teams like Mount San Jacinto, some people said they felt like they were, promising enough to be here, didn't make it. A team like Golden West, which they lost to Fullerton in their last game of the year. That's probably the reason why they didn't get in over Fullerton. I mean, some great teams this year that some people are like, wait a minute, why is this? But go ahead, Teran, talk to us, brother, and give us your thoughts on all this good stuff.
Yeah, so it looks like it's a certain 3 conference champions and then one little at-large team that makes it. So Ventura is representing the National Northern Conference, which I unfortunately was only able to get like oh no, I got all the NorCal teams as well. But Ventura is representing the National Northern Conference. They actually finished tied for first with Allen Hancock and College of the Canyons. Get this. Their conference was decided by one game as Ventura, Allen Hancock, and College of the Canyons all finished with 3-2 records, while East LA, Long Beach City, and Bakersfield all finished 2-3. So for Ventura to make it out of that conference is quite amazing. Obviously, that 7-3 record is a little glaring, but again, National Northern Conference must have been the conference, might have been that Power 3 conference that the 3C2A selected. And then for the National Southern Conference, Fullerton is back to their dominating ways after a little bit of a hiatus and a little bit of some other things that went on. They are back on top of the conference food chain. They beat Golden West. And then National Central Conference representative is Riverside. Now for the at-large, Mount San Antonio, between them, Golden West, and Mount San Jacinto, who won their other conference as well, Mount Sac was the highest ranked of the at-larges that didn't win a conference. So Mount San Antonio got to go in, and they actually got to be the number 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken, as basically that was where their ranking was. Now, looking at the Northern California side of things, American River is the representative from the National NorCal portion. Then Fresno City, or Modesto, is actually the representative from the National Valley Conference. And then San Mateo and Laney. Well, San Mateo is the representative from the National Bay 6 Conference. And then Laney must be the at-large, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's a little bit of a numbers game, honestly. It obviously depends on certain conferences, and then your at-large, if you have to apply for that, has to be the higher ranking of all the other teams. So it gets a little confusing, but overall, it does eventually start to make sense once you look at it a certain way. Obviously, teams like Golden West and San Mateo, it sucks for them because I think they could make a case that they could be in the playoffs, especially San Mateo when they won their conference. But unfortunately, that's just how it is sometimes. So maybe the 3C2A could be expanding their playoffs. I'm not sure, but that's probably for another day. So that's probably how the process of the 3C2A works from my point of view. It's probably not correct, and there's probably someone that'll say it's this, and that, not what you said. But back to you, Larry.
You're good, brother. No, hey, man, I'm barely understanding it myself, and I played on the dang thing, so I'm with you, brother. A little bit different, but hey, always great stuff, man, and we appreciate all the analysis, brother. So let's go ahead and move forward and talk about, of course, I mean, coming up this week, all the best to all these teams, and we'll see who ends up where coming up. So, in the NJCAA and College Teran, last week, Snow will defeat Lackawanna 30-7, my goodness, and Kilgore will destroy. Kilgore knocks off New Mexico Military, the champions from last year, the defending champions. Well, Teran, safe to say the defending champions will not be in the playoffs this year in the NJCAA, but congratulations to them last year on a great year. The New Mexico Military Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. But 39-12, Kilgore does away with New Mexico Military. Looks like all those points, my goodness, 26 scored in that third quarter. Wow. But with that said, we have a dead week, basically, in the NJCAA, and we are back in action next week, Teran. And it's going to look a little something like this. We have here, next week, kind of crazy, we have the... once again, Teran, we couldn't understand for the life of us why there's not a D2, but there is a D3. NJCAA D3 National Championship. It is number 2 DuPage versus number 1, North Dakota SCS. So we have that game coming up next week at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then of course it's down to 4. And then there were 4, Teran. We have next week at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern in the semifinal, number 4 Coffeyville versus number 1 Hutchinson, and then at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and I think I was just giving times. I'm not quite sure actually if this is the actual times, but I think it's our to be announced. My apologies. But next week, number 4, Coffeyville versus number 1, Hutchinson. And then, of course, number 3, Iowa Western taking on number 2, Northwest Mississippi. So, yeah, so excuse those times. I don't even think those are right. But I just gave them time for the heck of it. But with that said, because it could be around there. Who knows? But, Darren, and then there were 4. One of these 4 teams is going to hoist a trophy. Hutchinson has been amazing all season long. Undefeated record. And they've played great, Darren. They've been amazing, dude. They're 10-0. They've been roasting teams. Northwest Mississippi, 10-1. Iowa Western, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were. Oh my gosh, I think that's who New Mexico Military beat last year, if I'm not mistaken, in the championship game. And then they're 8-2. And then Coffeyville also at 8-2. Darren, this is going to be good. Teams like Snow, you hurt for them because it's like San Jacinto. Other schools like Golden West going quickly back, Darren, to the 3C2A. I mean, it's kind of a bummer. Bowl games are
they're cool.
They're cool, I mean, they're a bowl game, but they're not the title. You know what I mean? So, like next week sorry, gotta roll back here. But for instance, like next week. Coming up because we're still in junior college, so I guess it's fair to say it. But yeah, Teran, I mean, today we have the Patriotic Bowl. Of course, Golden Western all too well. They're playing East Los Angeles. It's the Patriotic Bowl. Cool. You know what I mean? It's Citrus taking on Mount San Jacinto in the American Division Championship. Cool. That's a championship game today, so that's the American. That's pretty cool. But the NCFC title game, Merced and Feather River. That's cool. I mean, you're winning titles here for your division. That's cool. But James H. Cobb Family Strawberry Bowl, Moore Park and Allen Hancock. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, you get what we're saying here, Darren, right? Like, the 2022 SBCC Beach Bowl, College of Desert in Santa Barbara, COD in Santa Barbara. The Southern California Bowl, El Camino and San Diego Mesa. The Western State Bowl, Long Beach versus Cerritos. You get all these. Then you go to the NJCAA, and next week you get some games. The Heart of the Champs, or CHAMPS, Heart of Texas Bowl, Butler and Kilgore. I mean, Kilgore was close, but no cigar, so they get a bowl game. I mean, you get these games there, and it's kind of like the Trinity Valley and Iowa Central in the Game 1 Bowl. You have these games where it's like, you want to be happy. Lackawanna will be playing New Mexico Military in the HF Sinclair Wool Bowl. But once again, Taryn, like I said, there gets kind of like a constellation prize, right, Taryn? You're not going to get the big show, but here's something for your trouble. I mean, what do you think, Taryn? So some of these teams who didn't make it, Snow, so close, no cigar. New Mexico Military, they were right up there. I mean, if these are, they're from last week on the NJCAA.org website. But look at that, Taryn. I mean, 4 go. Snow, out of it, number 5. East Mississippi, they were 8-3, out of it. Snow was 8-2. Kilgore was 8-3. They were 7. Jones, Taryn, we didn't think anybody was going to freaking lose to Jones this year, man. Or if Jones going to lose to anybody. They ended up losing another game. They finished 8-2. New Mexico Military, they're number 9, 8-3. Trinity Valley, 8-2. They were number 10. I mean, you get it, Taryn. But at the end of the day, man, it's just kind of crazy to think those teams that came so close yet so far, right?
Yeah, and my fear is that if there's an undefeated team that is on the outside looking in, I fear that team, if they win their bowl game, they'll probably have a championship banner just like UCF did. But overall, it just means that the playoff kind of needs to be expanded. I understand you want to protect the players and make sure that they don't play one too many games, but overall, it just is a little you just feel for the other teams that worked their tails off, that won their conferences, that did everything in their power to possibly finish as high as they can. But overall, it is what it is, sadly. And who knows, maybe all these college football playoffs that have the 14 playoffs, maybe they'll figure it out going forward and maybe have an expanded playoff, or maybe just have something else. It all depends.
Agreed, Teran. Absolutely agreed. And we shall see what happens. But moving on into the NAIA, good sir, what a week it was last week. And, well, why it would be kind of nice to get into. Well, no, we can real quick. So, excuse me. Wow, that was fun. Okay, getting over a little cold here. So, Teran, the first round will come to a close. Morningside, as we all thought, would do away with Arizona Christian 35-18. Grandview will knock off number 15, Carroll out of Montana, 17-14. A very good game there. Carroll had them for a while. We have number 3 Northwestern knocking off number 14 Dickinson State, 49-7. Kaiser out of Florida knocking off Bethel out of Tennessee, 27-17. So far, all the top seeds are winning. Indiana Wesleyan, they will knock off Avila out of Missouri, 14-7 in a good game here. Number 6 Benedictine out of Kansas will defeat Southwestern out of Kansas as well, 35-7. Marion knocking out of Indiana, knocking off number 11 St. Xavier out of Illinois, 41-7. And Lindsey Wilson out of Kentucky defeating number 9 Reinhardt out of Georgia. That was probably the best game, right? You'd think one of the best games of the entire tournament so far. And man, what a great one there. 23-22. Both these teams could have, I think, really gone deep had they not faced each other in the first round, but they just so happened to. They could have made it at least a second round appearance for both of them, I think. But man, what a game here. Lindsey Wilson moves on. So all the top-seeded teams move forward. And coming up today, Teran, they're actually all underway right now. They're 30 minutes into each of these games. As number 12, Kaiser out of Florida is taking on number 1 Morningside out of Iowa. Number 7, Marion out of Indiana is taking on Northwestern out of Iowa. Number 8, Lindsey Wilson out of Kentucky is taking on number 2, Grandview out of Iowa. And number 6, Benedictine out of Kansas is taking on number 5, Indiana Wesleyan from Indiana. Teran, what do you think, brother? We made our picks last week, man. What do you think? And then there were, what is this, 8? Or 8. Yeah, and then there were 8, Teran. So what do you think about these playoffs so far in the NAIA?
Yeah, they're definitely they're everything I expected and more. And honestly, is Northwestern ranked? Because looking at my notes, it doesn't look like they're ranked, but either way, I'm wondering why 12 is playing 1 instead of 8 versus 1 or something like that. But maybe I'm overthinking yet again, and maybe they go lower seed versus higher seed. But then again, Northwestern would be playing Morningside. But I don't know. I'm getting everything. Maybe I'm getting something backwards, but these playoffs are something and more, and I'm really excited for it. And I think anyone could win it. I just think Morningside may have the edge, so it might be an error on my notes. So carry on. But I still like Morningside's chances. Grandview looks still impressive, and I just think that you also can't sleep on Lindsey Wilson. I think they were the reigning champions from last season, if I'm not mistaken, or a few seasons ago. So I'm excited about it.
No, you and me both, Aaron. I think they were a couple years ago as well. I know, fuzzy memory. But yeah, and apparently Northwestern is ranked number 3. So yeah, I don't know how they got it. By the way, touchdown Wolverines, my goodness. That is Cornelius Johnson to J.J. McCarthy. 75-yard pass to the end zone. Jake Moody with the extra point. It is now 17-13. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first lead for the Wolverines all game. Maybe not. I don't know. But 5:24 to go in the second quarter. Michigan takes the lead in what is a great game over in the Shoe in Columbus. Man, what a great rivalry game this is. So, moving forward, Teran, Division 3, round of 16. Well, you know, it's a tournament that we all kind of thought that, you know, the first round is usually the easiest to pick because, you know, this is how it goes. It's just the highest versus lowest. And, well, I think we pretty much all but got this entire first round correct in Division 3. Some of the games are underway right now. But in that top left bracket, St. John's knocked off, out of Minnesota, knocked off Northwestern St. Paul 49-0. Wartburg knocks off Wisconsin Lacrosse 14-6 in what was a great game there. Alma defeated Mount St. Joseph 41-21, and then Aurora will knock off Wisconsin Whitewater 33-28. As of right now, in that top left bracket, we have St. John's, Minnesota trailing Wartburg 9-3 with 40 seconds to go in the first quarter. And right now in the third quarter, Aurora, wow, they are dominating Alma 34-6, Teran. With 13-18 to go in the third quarter, so it just got underway in that third quarter. So, bottom left bracket, Mount Union destroyed Salisbury. Man, they beat them down 51-0, as we know Mount Union likes to do. Very solid team there. Utica will defeat Susquehanna 17-10. Currently, right now, Mount Union is up on Utica 24-0. Starting in the second half. Then we have Randolph-Macon defeated Sunny Cortland 35-28, and Delaware Valley defeating Gallaudet 59-0. As we speak, Randolph-Macon will lead starting early in the third quarter with 10:48 to go. They will lead Delaware Valley 24-18. That's a good game there. Top right bracket. North Central Illinois will absolutely smash Lake Forest 50-0, and Carnegie Mellon will defeat DePaul 45-14. North Central Illinois and Carnegie Mellon currently underway as well. Don't have a score on that one, but courtesy of the NCAA website here. And then we have Springfield defeating Endicott 17-14, and Ithaca defeating UMass Dartmouth 63-20. Springfield, actually, this is a good one here. Ithaca leads Springfield 21-20. A little New York, Massachusetts game there. Those are always fun, right? No matter what. Boston versus New York. It doesn't matter what it is, man. I mean, hey, they're not necessarily from each of those cities, but they represent the states right now in Division 3. So, 9:29 to go in the third quarter. Once again, Ithaca will lead Springfield 21-20. Then we move on down to the bottom right bracket. Trinity out of Texas will defeat Hardin Simmons. That was a good game there. 14-7. And Mary Hardin Baylor will do away with Huntingdon out of Alabama, 54-0. Currently, Trinity out of Texas is trailing Mary Hardin Baylor 10-0 with 11:13 to go in the second quarter. And then Teran, Bethel out of Minnesota will defeat Wheaton out of Illinois 34-32. And Linfield, well, Teran, the only team that comes out we only get one California team, man, out of the SIAC every year that wins it in Southern California here. Pomona Pitzer will win the SIAC this year, and, well, they headed up to Linfield, Oregon, and you know what? They battled, and that's all there is to it. You got to give hats off to Pomona Pitzer. Linfield, though, wins this one 51-24 and moves on. And today, Bethel will take on Linfield in just about an hour and 15 minutes here, hour and 17 minutes to be exact. Linfield will take on Bethel for that last spot there to take on the winner of Trinity and Mary Hardin Baylor in the next round. So, Teran, how about that first round, brother?
No, it was quite the interesting first round, and honestly, I had a feeling Pomona Pitzer was going to fall, but it wasn't too surprising. For me, a few teams to watch out for would probably be maybe Aurora. I maybe think they're coming alive nicely. They're coming along nicely. And then you can't sleep on Bethel. Trinity also is good. So I think it's going to be a great little Division 3 round of 16 battle. And these are the type of playoffs that you live for. And I understand maybe it's one too many games, but I think Division 3 has kind of got it going on. And I can't wait to see what the results are when it comes to this. So, when it comes to D3.
Oh, yeah, dude. I don't know. North Central and Mary Hardin Baylor, Mount Union. I mean, this is going to be great to see these guys. We'll see how far they get. But touchdown Ohio State, by the way. My goodness. And back and forth they go. Looks like Marvin Harris, or TJ Stroud to Marvin Harrison Jr. If that really, that's crazy. That's Marvin Harris's son. That's awesome. Maybe, I don't know. But 42 yards. It is Noah Ruggles with the extra point, and Teran, it is 3:49 to go in the second quarter. Buckeyes back on top 20-17. Oh, it's a battle. So let's move forward, good sir, into D2. That's actually Marvin Harris's son, isn't it, Teran?
I think so, yeah.
That's pretty cool. The Colts legend there. His son getting down, man, playing some great ball at Ohio State. So then on to Division II. Top left bracket, Ashland defeated Notre Dame of Ohio 20-13. And Shepherd defeated New Haven 16-13. Good game there. Also Slippery Rock over Assumption 17-14. Right now in that top right bracket, Indiana out of Pennsylvania. They were the bye. The first round bye. They are hosting Ashland, where they are leading 12-7 right now with 9:27 to go in the second quarter. Also, Shepherd will be the first round bye on the top left bracket, the number 2 seed, and they are right now tied with Slippery Rock 20-20 with 14:53 to go in the game here. So in the second half, that's pretty cool. Then we have the bottom left bracket. Wingate will knock off number 4 seeded Virginia Union. Congratulations to Virginia Union, man. They had a great year. They knocked off Ferris State, if I'm not mistaken. Or they knocked off, who did they knock off this year? Valdosta State, I think. But regardless, amazing stuff for them. Wingate 32-7 over Virginia Tech. They are currently taking on Benedict, the number 1 seed in the bottom left bracket there. And Wingate's actually winning this game right now, Teran. A very defensive battle, 7-0 over Benedict. Pretty crazy there, right? Then we have Delta State defeating Fayetteville 51-0, and West Florida defeating Limestone 45-19. Delta State and West Florida about to kick off in about 15 minutes here. And sorry, Shepherd, we didn't get a first round bye. I don't know why I said that, but in the top left bracket. Anyway, top right bracket. Northwest Missouri State, those Bearcats, I think that's who they are, defeated Ochita Baptist 47-17. They are currently taking on those crazy Lakers there, Teran, this year. Knocked off Ferris State, that Michigan battle there. And with 14:42 to go in the second quarter, Grand Valley is leading 7-0, still anyone's game. And then Ferris State, really hoping that Grand Valley wins so they can pay them back in that next round if they do play each other. I mean, but Ferris State, we'll see if they can do it or not. But Ferris State defeated Davenport 41-7. And Pittsburgh State defeated University of Indianapolis 35-0. Right now, Ferris State is up over Pittsburgh State 14-0 with 14:15 to go in the second quarter. And then the bottom right bracket, Bemdihie State, I hope it's how you say it correctly because I think I always butcher that name, but they will defeat Winona State 31-7, and they are set to take on in just about 10 minutes here, actually 13 minutes, Angelo State in that bottom right bracket. And Colorado School of Mines defeated Colorado State University CSU Pueblo 45-14, and Minnesota State, the Mavericks, will defeat, I think they were in the championship a couple of years ago. I think they won it, if I'm not mistaken, maybe not. But they will defeat Wayne State out of Nebraska 26-19, and they are set to get underway. Minnesota State set to take on Colorado School of Mines, also in just about 12 minutes right now in the bottom right bracket. So, Teran, how about this D2 bracket so far?
The Battle of the Colorados was quite intriguing, and I did not expect Colorado State of Mines to come out on top in that convincing fashion. But for me, I think you gotta watch out for Ferris State. I think they'll have a little bit of a battle against Pittsburgh State, and then and then Benedict is obviously the top seed, as you mentioned, and then don't sleep on Slippery Rock, even though they're on the road, they can do damage. I just think that the D2 playoffs are definitely going to be something to watch for, and you never know if teams could win on the road. Like, even though you're at home, it's no guarantee, just because we've seen some road teams do the unthinkable and win on the road.
Definitely agreed there, Teran. Moving on over to the FCS, brother. Here we go. This bracket gets dropped last week. First round starts this week. It's basically the round of 16. Top left bracket, Delaware will take on St. Francis out of Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire will take on Fordham. Those top 2 seeds there, they have 2 first-round byes. Number 1, South Dakota State. They knocked off North Dakota State this year, and they are deserving. The Jacks are deserving of that number 1 right now. And then the other top-ranked team, number 8, Holy Cross. So that is or Holy Cross, top left. Then the bottom left bracket, we have Eastern Kentucky taking on Gardner-Webb. William and Mary gets the first round bye. Also the first round bye, Montana State, and they will take on the winner of Weber State and North Dakota, the Fighting Hawks there in that bottom left. Then we have Montana in the top right bracket. Montana taking on Southeast Missouri State. The winner of that will take on number 3 seeded first round bye North Dakota State. And number 6 Samford will host. They are the first round bye. They will host the winner of Southeastern Louisiana versus Idaho. Idaho, a team that I think did the right thing a couple years ago, Teran. Idaho, the Vandals, they were, I think, in the WAC, if I'm not mistaken. They were in D1 FBS for a while, and they decided to drop down, want to be more competitive, and they did, because look at them. Now they're in the playoffs, and good for the Vandals, man. Maybe they can build it up to a D1 single A school again. Who knows, but that's pretty awesome. Home of Mike Iapati, by the way, for those of you who know. I think he's played pretty much everywhere, but he's played everywhere in the NFC West, if I'm not mistaken, except for the Seahawks. I think he's played for the Rams, he's played for the Cardinals, and for the 49ers. But anyway, bottom right bracket. Currently underway, by the way. It's the first game to get underway of the FCS tournament. Furman and Elon going head-to-head. Furman leads Elon 14-3. Looks like they're about to get set for the second half of action there on the start of the third quarter. And they will take on, or the winner of that game will take on number 7, UIW. And then Sacramento State, Teran, hey! They, from up north, will host the winner of Richmond and Davidson, of course, getting underway today. So how about that FCS tournament, Teran? Who are you picking?
For the round of 16, I'll start with the bottom. I'll start with Davidson. I don't know how they got in, considering they lost to San Diego a couple weeks ago, but I'll take Davidson. Give me Furman. Give me Idaho. Give me Montana. Definitely give me Montana. Give me North Dakota. Give me Eastern Kentucky. Give me North Hampshire. And give me Delaware.
Good stuff there. New Hampshire. Yeah, I think it's New Hampshire, right? Isn't it New Hampshire? But anyway, good stuff there, brother. And let me see here. Yeah, certainly some.
Yeah, New Hampshire. I'm sorry.
You're good, brother. Good picks there. Give me South Dakota State. That's all I got to say, Darren. I think it's their year, brother. I think it's time for the Jacks to win it. I think they got this, man. So we'll see what happens there. And then, of course, getting into the FBS for this week. We already talked about that major game tonight, of course, Notre Dame and well, we kind of talked about it just a little bit. But currently, as we speak, Michigan-Ohio State is a totally great game right now. My goodness, it's a fun one. Teran, I mean, can we just say real fast that Georgia Tech is only trailing by 3 points to number 1 Georgia at the moment? Yeah.
Well, if they win, they're bowl game eligible.
That's amazing. No, that's awesome. By the way, South Carolina is still fighting Clemson. A little South Carolina battle here. Clemson leads South Carolina 23-14 right now. It's number 8 Clemson. But by the way, it's lots of great games here today. We got number 9 Oregon taking on number 21 Oregon State, of course, in the Civil War coming up in just a little bit. The Iron Bowl, Auburn versus Alabama, or number 7 Alabama, that is. Purdue versus Indiana, another rivalry game there. Lots and lots of great rivalry games today. But I think it's called the Rumble and the Rockies, if I'm not mistaken. Utah and Colorado. I don't know if that's... Oh, no, actually, that's Colorado State and Colorado, I think. I forgot what this one's called. I think they actually have a name for it, the rivalry game. But Nevada and UNLV should actually be a good game today. They play each other. And, yeah, lots of good ones. The Apple Cup, number 13, Washington versus Washington State. Just lots of good stuff here, as we mentioned earlier. Already, Mississippi State defeated number 20 Ole Miss 24-22 in the Egg Bowl a couple days ago on Thanksgiving. The Territorial Cup, the duel in the desert, if you will. Arizona defeated Arizona State 38-35. Good stuff there. Man, great game. NC State was major, defeating number 17 North Carolina 30-27 in double overtime. I mean, man, there were so many good games. Last night, the Sunshine Showdown, if you will. Number 16 Florida State defeated Florida 45-38. Florida came to play. Wasn't to be, but man, they fought hard. So yeah, Teran, all kinds of great games coming on up today. And then, of course, the big one, or Illinois and Northwestern coming up today as well. And also Minnesota, Wisconsin, another solid game there. But, of course, the big one, Saturday Night Football on ABC. What was that?
Battle of the border between Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Such a fun title there. I did not know. That's awesome, but should be a good game for sure. And, of course, the big one, Teran, number 15 Notre Dame at 8-3, taking on number 6 USC 10-1. USC is favored by 4.5 points. Teran, talk about this game, man. What you got?
Yeah, I really think USC could pull it out. It's going to be an ugly game, and it's going to probably be in high-scoring fashion for the most part. But I really think USC can beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame has kind of been like that roller coaster, up and down, and then you never know what is going to happen going forward. But for USC, I think Caleb Williams just needs to limit his mistakes, and he's just got to take the few yards and see where it gets him instead of just risking getting an incompletion or an interception. So overall, I think USC has what it takes, and definitely keep an eye out for the Apple Cup with Washington and Washington State. You've got the Oregon State battle. I think they've scrapped their name of. I forget the original name of the rivalry, but I think they've scrapped that name. And then obviously Utah is going to probably just rumble their way through Colorado. So I think there's a lot of conference title championship implications along the way and from certain conferences. And I think it's going to be quite fun. I think this is going to, because like I said, we're getting closer and closer to conference tournament championship week, as well as college football playoff week and bowl game.
And isn't that the best, Teran, when we get to say, here we go? I mean, yeah, Teran, conference championships starting next week. Bowl season, my gosh, Teran, we are, just weeks away from bowl season, man, starting up on December 16th. We got some championships to be played, man. As we mentioned already, the soonest championship we have, Teran, I believe is December. Well, today, as a matter of fact, as we said already, the Division 3, next week, Division 3 at the NJCAA, they play their championship game coming on up next week. Then, of course, to follow that, we have the 3C2A championship on the 10th, on the same day as the Army-Navy Bowl, or Army-Navy game, or Navy at Army this year, I think. Then we have here, coming on up after that, the NJCAA National Championship. So that is on December 16th. Coming up. Then bowl season, the same exact day. Bowl season starts in the NCAA Division 1. Then after that, Teran, we are speeding through a bowl season, and we have here on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the day for the Division 3 National Championship, I'm not sure. Then I think after that, Division 2 is somewhere right around there too, the next day or something like that in December, the end of December, the week before Christmas, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or might be Christmas Eve this year, Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve, 23rd, 24th. I think so. And then, yeah, man, we're going to roll all the way into the new year. Bowl season continues. We have the New Year's Six, of course, all that great stuff. The College Football Championship, College Football Playoff Championship. I do believe that the 7th of January will be the Division 1 AA Championship. And then, of course, on January 9th, we have here the NCAA Division 1 Single A College Football National Championship. that will end off the year. Teran, you and I will also end off the year there that week, probably the 14th. I don't know, but yeah, just looking forward to it, man. We're going to get into the playoffs by then in football in the NFL. We got wild card weekend starting that weekend, so much football coming your way, man. Teran, it's the most wonderful time of the year, of course. God, Christmas, family, but you gotta throw football in there too. Am I right, good sir?
Oh yeah, you definitely do. It's definitely an exciting time, and it's basically win or go home time, or pull up or shut up time.
That's exactly it, good sir. Also, the NAIA championship, I believe, is on the 10th as well, if I'm not mistaken. Because we got the semifinals, quarterfinals, semifinals. So I think it's the 10th, or it might be the 17th. So yeah, I gotta throw that in there as well. But man, it's been great, Teran. We are almost at 2 hours. My goodness, man. We're doing set point time right now, good sir. Crazy, man. We rolled today, brother. But I'm really excited for this, man. I'm glad we had a great show as always, man. And with that said, Teran, you already know the deal, brother. Cue the music, because we're out of here. With that said, Teran, final thoughts, comments, anything you want to say to the listeners out there, man?
I want to give one shout out to Cal football radio announcer Joe Starkey, as yesterday he called his last game of his career, as he's going to be retiring after this season, and he actually was the play-by-play announcer on radio for not only Cal football, but for the San Francisco 49ers. So just got to give one last salute to Joe Starkey, and enjoy your retirement, good sir.
Please do, absolutely. Teran, where can all these diehards find you, man?
You can follow me on Twitter at Teran Rodriguez 1. That's where you'll see my main content.
Make sure you show Teran some love, y'all. You can follow me over there at the @THE_LB53. We got some IE Sports Radio live call right now of Argentina and Mexico getting underway with Mr. Matt White of England live on the call over on Mixer.com. If you head on over there. This game is too crazy, man. Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State leads 20-17 over Michigan at the half. Just great stuff as always, y'all, and you gotta love it. Just tons of great football coming your way. It doesn't matter if it's soccer or just American football. It doesn't matter. That's because, well, we have great stuff here, and we appreciate you all. Thank you to, of course, all of our Patreons, Sparkling Bear, Apparel Anonymous, and Mr. Marcus Rose. Great big shout out to everybody who tuned in today, and just all the love in the chat room earlier. Mr. Marcus Rose, great, and just, yeah, lots of love, man. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Next week, we're going to be right back at it, doing the same old deal, man, showing lots of love. Stop by the IE Sports Radio, IESportsRadio.com. Grab you some shirts, IESportsRadio.com/shop. Show us all some love, y'all. We have ourselves a great lineup of shows coming up as always again this week. And, well, we're heading on into the holidays. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Hopefully you had a wonderful holiday. And, well, coming up, Christmas time is on the rise. Get that Christmas shopping out of the way early. Stay safe. And, well, big ups to our Lord Jesus Christ. Without him, nothing is possible. And, of course, big ups to all of our family and friends and great listeners out there. We will see you guys next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.